And if you compare that to having a conversation with somebody, and you can have exactly correct grammar and be very well spoken and get your point across, or you could speak kind of a incorrect grammar, but you can still get your point across. That's what I'm going to be doing with him. I'm going to be doing enough to get my point across, but not enough that it's absolutely correct. Hello, welcome to Tim Anderson Horse Training. Today I'm riding Ringo. You've seen him in quite a few videos. And what I'm trying to work on with him is I want him to do what's asked of him even when he's not asked exactly correct. And for instance, his spin. I can get him to spin pretty good, but if it's not exactly correct, if you're not asking exactly like how I've been asking him, he's going to act like you don't know how to spin. And this goes for anything you ask your horse to do. Spin, stop, steer, anything. And you see this a lot when the horse is ridden by primarily one person, and sometimes two people. And like this horse has primarily been ridden by me and his owner. And Ringo is really good about doing what I ask him to do, but he kind of blows off his owner sometimes. So I want to work him so that even if the owner asks for something not quite exactly how it should be asked for, Ringo still responds, still does what's asked of him. And this is something that's really important with any horse. And I think this would be something that would be helpful to most any horse rider, because you're not always going to be able to ask in the exact same way. And you should expect your horse to try to figure out what you're asking for, even if you're not asking in the exact same way. There you can ask and say, well, I didn't have my hand in exactly the right place, or I didn't have my leg in exactly the right place. So I'm not going to complain, I'm not going to scold the horse for not doing it. Well, the truth of the matter is, you shouldn't have to have all that in exactly the right place. As long as you're somewhat close, the horse should get the idea. And if you compare that to having a conversation with somebody, and you can have exactly correct grammar and be very well spoken and get your point across, or you could speak kind of a incorrect grammar, but you can still get your point across. That's what I'm going to be doing with him. I'm going to be doing enough to get my point across, but not enough that it's absolutely correct. Okay, so I've been walking this circle and pretty much just telling him to go forward. If he leaves the circle, I've been steering him back in the circle, not really asking a whole lot of him to do. What I'm going to start doing is asking him to kind of step around, not necessarily in a spin, although a spin is a direction I'm going to end up wanting. And I'm going to ask him to figure out what I want him to do, but I'm not going to quite give him all the cues to do it. I want him to try to figure out what I'm asking for, even though I might not be asking exactly correctly. So what I'm going to do, if he does what I ask, I'll walk on and reward him by the release of pressure. If he doesn't do what I'm going to ask, I'm going to pull on him just a little harder. I'll kick on him just a little bit harder and kind of scold him for not trying to figure out what I want. So let's start by just picking up my left rein, and I'm going to steer to the left. See him kind of pull his head away and see how far in this circle we are. I pointed his head enough that we should have come around in a smaller circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull him around, give him a kick, say, I want you to try a little harder, and then we're going to go in our circle again. When I just point his nose, I want him to step around like a spin. I want him to try a little harder to figure out what I'm asking for. What I ask for, I want him to give me 100%. Whatever he does, right or wrong, I want 100%. Even if he gives me the wrong thing at 100%, I'm going to reward that. I'm going to reward the effort, and then I'll show you how I want this instead. But the first thing I have to get is I have to get the effort. And that's the part he's not giving me. So let's ask for this again. That actually wasn't too bad. You notice the first time when I first picked up the rein, he tried to go the other way. That time, all I did was pick up the rein. I steered the same way, and he kind of stepped around in a little bit of a spin. It wasn't exactly correct, and it didn't have much rhythm, but it was effort. And that's what I want, is the effort. Let's get around, and I'll ask for that again. I'll just point his nose, and let's see what effort I get. Better. So let's go the other way. So I'll work the other rein. We'll cut through our circle, and we'll steer off to the right. Now right there, when I steered, his head tried to go that way. I made enough contact that he should have swept on around, and he didn't. So that tells me that we're going to have the same thing going on with the right rein that we had going on with the left rein. See his head going that way? He's not thinking in this circle. So I give him a little pull. Now I'll come around to where I was asking for the step around, and we'll ask again. Let's see what we get. All I want is effort. A little bit of cue and effort. See how he's walking forward? He's really not giving me the effort to go that direction. Give him a little pull, give him a little kick. I typically don't like to kick a horse with a spur. I'll typically roll. But in certain situations with certain horses, I will kick. And that is one of those situations. Let's stop a second, and I'm going to explain that a little bit better. So when you bring your leg out to kick, that horse sees that foot come out. And what they're going to do is they're going to anticipate that punch coming. So they're either going to brace up for it, or they're going to go off the other direction because they know that's what they should have done to begin with. So I did that to let him know something's fixing to happen. You need to do something. If he would have went off that way, like I asked, I would not have punched him with the spur. So since he did not go that way, I gave him a punch with the spur. It's a little bit of you need to do this, and then if you don't, you're going to get the reprimand for it. That is about the only situation where I'll bring my leg out and kick kind of hard on a horse with a spur. Let's come around and ask again. That was better, but it still wasn't as good as the other direction. I'll go ahead and pull, give a little push with my spur. I didn't scold as hard. I didn't bring it out and kick. I just pushed, saying, hey, I want a little bit more effort. So let's ask again. Now you notice right there, he pushed his head up. He made a couple of quick steps, but it wasn't around like I want. So we're going to do it again. Pull his head around, push with my spur. See how I'm pulling hard, he's kind of pulling back. I'm not going to stop until he softens a little bit. Not worried about it not being correct. There, he softened his face a little bit. I'm not worried about it not being correct. I can make it correct, but before I can make it correct, I have to have effort. He has to try. Walk one more circle, and then I'll do it again. If you remember, I did a video with him a good ways back. I'll put a link to it up at the top about how to ride a lazy horse. And this has been kind of an ongoing theme with him, which for his owner, it's the perfect horse for him, because his owner needs a horse that's a little bit lazy. There we go. I felt him thinking about that step around, and I went on and asked for it because he was thinking about it. That gave me the opportunity to reward a positive movement. So anyways, his owner, this horse being a little bit lazy horse, really fits his owner, but his owner is progressing, becoming a better rider, so the horse needs to progress a little bit. So I'm just trying to get the horse to put a little bit more effort in. I don't want a lot of effort, not yet. I kind of bring the horse up as the owner comes up, as the rider comes up. Ask for another step. Kind of stuck there a little bit. Now, that stick, I didn't feel that I didn't feel like that was him saying no because he didn't pull any harder on my hands. What I interpreted that as, his weight wasn't on the correct foot to do what I was asking him to do. So I wasn't going to punish him for that. I just waited for his weight to shift and go ahead and step around. I felt like he was trying to give me effort. It's just his weight wasn't where it needed to be. So I wasn't going to punish because I felt like I had the effort. Let's ask for that again. There we go. A little bit of effort there again. So I'm going to continue working this with this horse, asking him to give me a little more effort, asking him to steer around and do what's asked of him, even when that steering isn't exactly correct, isn't exactly what it should be. Get the horse to try a little bit harder to figure out what the rider is asking him to do. So that's it for today. I'll put a link up here to some other videos if you'd like to watch some other training videos that I have. Until next time, thank you for watching.